Good evening and welcome to NUFC 360 match reaction to our 2-1 away win. That's win and away at Tottenham Hotspur. Only our third away win of the season, so a bit of a collector's item there. Before the game, with their home record, I think they've only won 2 home games, and our away record, it was a little bit like we were going to see what happens when the stoppable force meets the movable object, and it turns out that we came out on top. Selection wise, I thought we looked like we set up to try and hit them on the break. They seemed to be the case when we start Gordon, we sit a little bit deeper and we try and break quicker. But actually, for the first half particularly, we dominated possession, which I don't think we were necessarily expecting to do, but we seemed to have the confidence to do that. And I think they were poor enough, they couldn't really challenge us with the ball, and our intensity meant that we were turning the ball over really well and retaining possession without a great deal of pressure. So players I thought played particularly well. I think Anthony Elanga looks like a completely different player to how he did earlier in the season, which is very, very encouraging. All of the support that he's been getting from the fans seems to now be paying dividends, and it is so good to see him back. He's not the best player on the pitch yet. He's not delivering 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 performances just yet, but I do think that he looks like a new man, and hopefully he continues to grow from there. So I thought he played really well. I thought Trippier, after a very difficult game the other day against Brentford, where arguably he's at fault for 3 goals, looked very solid. We seemed like we were a little bit more of a flat back four. Obviously it's a back four a lot of the time, but we didn't seem to press high on the wings. We seemed like we were trying to press more, get forward more centrally, and allow a length like Willock and Ramsey to attack more through the middle. So maybe it suited him a little bit more that he wasn't having to get up and down, saved his legs a little bit. And I thought in 1-on-1 situations he looked really good. I thought Thiaw had one of his, he's almost always very good, and was particularly good, and obviously very pleased for him to have gotten a goal. But the honourable mention, and obviously the man of the match, ended up being Thiaw Ramsey, who's got his first goal tonight. I think he is like Elanga. Obviously he hasn't quite started as poorly as Elanga did, but he's also growing into the season, growing in confidence, and hopefully that'll serve as well for the rest of the season. So really pleased, great energy. I thought he drove well through midfield, and he seemed to have quite a lot of intensity, something that when we've been playing Tonali in midfield the last few games we've been lacking. First half started really brightly, and I think we controlled midfield. The disallowed goal, having seen the automated image that was given, you're talking about a guy whose scalp is offside, not even his full scalp. His Steve McLaren hair island was offside, and very unlucky in that. I mean, what is the margin of error on those systems that you can give an offside for something as tight as that? And I thought, unfortunately, it deprived us of what would have been a really good goal. I thought Willock took his finish very well, but really disappointed. Thiaw's goal was well deserved. I think we were very good value for 1-0 at half time. We should possibly have been 2 goals ahead very easily. Second half, I thought we came out and had a good, tried to continue where we'd left off in the first half, really, particularly the first 10 minutes. And then their goal. So we had 11 corners, I looked up, before they had 1. And I thought, one of the things I put in my notes was Cornergeddon, because it just felt like they were just never going to stop. We were having so many corners, but we didn't look hugely dangerous for them. And if you don't take your chances, then other teams are going to have take theirs. And I thought we looked a little flat-footed. and a little slow to react, particularly from the second ball. And unfortunately, that ended up costing us a goal, but not crucially the result, because 3 minutes later, we go up the other end and twinkle toes from Gordon, but to create the assist. I thought a crucial little moment was had 3 or 4 men breaking with Anger around him, and he busted a gut to intercept the ball, play it back, and sort of recycle possession. But anyway, great play from Gordon, and a really nicely laid on a plate for Ramsey, who, finished extremely well and looked absolutely over the moon with his goal. So really delighted for him. You move into the last 10 minutes, I've kind of said, I thought we seemed like we were carrying Willock and Bruno. We looked like we were very heavy-legged. I suppose you could argue we brought Tonali on, who was, I think, the only central midfielder we had on the bench. But I still think, even if you're playing somebody out of position like Lewis Hall, when he was in Chelsea's academy, could play in central midfield, I think it wouldn't have hurt to bring somebody on a little earlier to try and relieve them, and hopefully that's not what's ended up costing Bruno what looks like an injury. Could be cramp. We don't know at this stage. I very much hope it is, because we know we can't win without him. And that's the only thing I've put of any sour note, really, is that, particularly with, for me, what's a massive game against Aston Villa in the FA Cup on the weekend, I think to lose Bruno now when we've just got him back in and he's so crucial would be very disappointing. But overall, I suppose, a really good night. A solid performance, not absolutely outstanding. And I thought, obviously in the last 10 minutes, for all we were carrying them, I thought they really lacked intensity, and they seemed like they just did not know how to get at us. They had one little chance that fell to Van der Ven, but other than that, for the last few minutes, they just looked shell-shocked and like they were just giving up the ghost. So, they're obviously now in a relegation battle, and let's hope it's not a successful battle, because they're not my favourite club, although there's a few other clubs down there I don't like. But anyway, so yeah, only sour notes Bruno going out with an injury, but otherwise a very good, very solid performance. Delighted with that. We move on to the weekend, and it's going to be a very tough game away at Aston Villa, but let's hope we can put in an even better performance than we have tonight. It will need to be a little bit better than that to get a result at Villa Park, but we've got something to build on. Get in.